Hey there. A friend of mine left me a note in my handwriting. And he said that you might be able to set me up with the pill that makes the memories go away, like a shame wow. See, I did something a little out of character. And the window is kind of closing in on, before it lodges in the long-term, what do you call it? Brains. Long-term brains.
TBTL.
Why are you wasting your time with this podcast stuff?
Because I have nothing else going on.
We are still on for this afternoon, right? Operation Monkey Brain.
You paint your bald spot?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. My hair grows.
You paint your bald spot?
Oh my God. $100 a day, both of us, $500 a week. That's rich.
That's it.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Thursday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
It's your lucky day. You just found a USB flash drive in the parking lot.
My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
I call cakes big old cookies.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, looking at a toasty day.
Things are going to get hot. They're going to get funky. Somebody better open the window.
Do have all the windows open. We're running the fan, the overhead fan here in the Madrona Hill studio, and we're going to try to keep everything at a reasonable temperature as we bring you episode 4532 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
We will continue today the project of listening back to some voicemail messages that have been hanging out in the TBTL inbox.
If you want to talk, I've got 2 ears, and they're tuned to the listening station.
And the guy who's been collecting and collating and carefully editing those, actually, I don't know if he edits them or not. Maybe he'll tell me. The guy in charge of that whole thing is also the longest-running co-bro of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. Here's something else about him that he never fails to bring up at parties and barbecues. It's the fact that he's
the man who brought the rock and roll edge to the Eagles.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he is joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I am so obsessed with our wheel that I had a dream about it last night.
What happened in the dream?
Well, I dreamt that you spun the wheel, and it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. We waited for it to stop, but it never did.
The wheel of death. Like you get kind of on sometimes on your computer. Although I don't know if that really happens as much anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's a wheel anymore. I think it's just an AI helper that says, don't worry, I got this. And then it
clippy.
Says Abraham Lincoln was the first president, and you just go along with it because the technology is so smooth.
Or that other such hallucinations that I've been reporting on the show in recent weeks that I feel very embarrassed of.
Yeah, I was thinking about that later. Not that you should feel embarrassed, but just how I don't have anything new to say here, but just what I keep saying. It's just like they've really razzled and dazzled us with the technology to the point where it's kind of like, yeah, but what it's feeding us is wrong. It's like, yeah, but it's so cool. It's so cool that we just overlook the fact that listen, I need to calm down. I've been spreading misinformation misinformation on this show for way longer than AI has. So maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm just like, stay in your lane, AI.
Yeah, I mean, this has been discussed to death on the program now over the past few months, but I feel it's sort of starting to wear me down and starting to win. Although maybe that was a helpful refresh when I misreported that information a couple weeks ago, because now maybe I'll be a little bit more careful with it. But I was sliding into a mode where I just went with the first response, the AI generated kind of quote unquote research, and just sort of started to take it as sort of gospel.
Yeah.
Because again, for me, it's like convenience trumps everything, which I don't like about myself.
I do wonder what would happen if we integrated AI into the gospel.
Let's see. So if we fed the Bible into AI?
We'd have Cain and Abel living inside of a whale. I feel like that might be one thing that shoots back out of that.
What were some of the other big plot points?
Let's see.
Maybe the people say that they actually want Jesus released, and then Barabbas is the one that gets thrown up there on that cross. That'd really mess with the plot.
What if we did a sliding doors version of the Old Testament, Luke? Wait, that's New Testament. Sorry. What if we did a sliding doors version of the Bible, Luke?
So it's basically starring Gwyneth Paltrow.
I don't know what's going on with Barabbas, but I like this idea. I'm sure you've.
You
talked
remember?
About,
you
no,
remember the story of Barabbas,
no,
right?
This
a man who
feels new to
loves
me.
the song Barabba Jaggle.
Yeah.
Is not familiar with Barabbas. So the story.
Barabbas Jaggle.
The story goes that Pontius Pilate, I guess the Israelites or whoever, the people that have decided now they don't like Jesus, and so they basically tell Pontius Pilate, who's there, just kind of like there's basically colonizing this part of the world, the Romans are. And the people bring Jesus to Pontius Pilate and they say, crucify him. And he says, I don't really want to do that, actually. Mm-hmm. So he says, well, there's this other guy named Barabbas here. And Barabbas is like a verified bad dude.
Mm-hmm. He's like Steve Buscemi on Con Air.
Exactly. And so he's like, I'm going to turn one of these people free. And I think his thought is, well, they're going to say turn Jesus free because he didn't do anything. Maybe, I don't know, some unregulated water into wine. I don't know what the Liquor Control Board thinks about that, but let's just call that a petty crime. So he says to the people, which one do you want me to release? And they say, give us Barabbas.
Yeah.
They want the verified bad guy. And then that leaves Pontius Pilate with no choice, the story goes. And then he ceremonially washes his hands to say, I didn't want to do this.
But I mean, that's why the Bible isn't real, or the Babel, which is a whole book I've been working on. The Bible isn't real because in what context would kind of a whole population of potentially millions of right-thinking people decide to let a criminal run amok? Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that happening.
It's strange credulity.
And strange credulity, indeed.
Yes. All right, my friend. So I've got, this wheel that you've been dreaming about. I've got the wheel of your dreams, sir. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm getting pretty good, actually, at spinning this thing, too.
Yeah, so
we've been doing this for days on end. So.
Yeah. Do we need a setup? So you spin the wheel. We have a bunch of voicemail names of listeners on the wheel. You spin the wheel, and then wherever it lands, I'll play that person's voicemail.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
You're spinning it, but you won't look.
Yeah, no, I like to be surprised.
Yeah, we put a blindfold on you. It's very sexy.
So
it's like
if this was your dream, that would just keep going indefinitely.
Just keep going and going, and we're all waiting. Like, when will it? Where will it stop? Where will it stop?
If people would like to enter Andrew's dream, this is what I'm just going to keep spinning this thing and give it another spin.
Oh, this is driving me bananas.
Yeah.
Also, where's it landing? You're potentially throwing some great listeners under the bus. All these people.
Okay, fine. This will be the last one.
We just lost Jake in Chicago, probably.
This one is legitimately, that's the real spin. Where did it land?
That landed on, sorry, Jake, it landed on Stephanie. Oh, but you know what? This is not, and I have listened to this one in advance. I think you had that question at the beginning. I have not edited it at all. It's really hard for me to say edited it, but I have not done that to this. And it's a little bit lengthy, but it's a good voicemail, and it is in response, Luke, to, let me put myself in the past. I know this. It was you. Oh, you had a weirdly hot take that we didn't get as much response to as I thought we would about the obsession with parents trying to get their kids to clean their plate. This idea of you have
that
to clean
take was
your plate.
falling apart even as I was having it.
As you were
it's kind of like, well, I mean, first of all, that's not a good look for us. You wouldn't probably do this. It's not a good look for me to be out there trying to basically tell people how to parent.
I love doing that. I love going around telling people how to parent.
I don't think that's going to win me friends and influence people. Mm-hmm. And then even as I was saying it, I was like, actually, I don't really know if I'm even buying my own BS anymore.
Right. But, well, here's the deal, though. So, Stephanie, I can't remember exactly where this goes, but it's not just all focused on that, but I believe this voicemail begins with Stephanie as a relatively new mom, right? Like, I think baby August is under a year.
Oh, this is
still.
Augie's mom.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have a little cameo from August in here as well. Yes. So you're going to love this voicemail, but just so you know, it doesn't come down hard on you. It's just from her experience. But then also, I believe this is sort of a two-parter. I just can't remember the second part. Let's take a listen.
Hey guys, it's Stephanie, August's mom. You guys are talking about food and, eating everything on the plate. And I do want to say that as a person who has a pretty fresh child, the anxiety of going from someone relying solely on, breast milk and formula to someone who then like has to learn how to eat food is real. And I am very nervous about whether or not he's eating enough. But at this point, I've kind of cooled it. I feel like he's getting a little chubby, so I'm very pleased. Oh, gosh, yeah. But I think what you guys are more referring to is like when you're more of a kid and your parents were forcing you, I assume. And I will say that my dad was that person and forced me to eat everything on my plate. Pizza. Yeah. And he forced my friends.
Sounds like they're having pizza.
August is just in the background saying pizza, 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 which is honestly like basically what's going through my head at any given moment. Pizza.
I imagine
pizza.
him dressed as the Little Caesar.
Oh,
he's got a toga on and he's holding a spear with pizza on it.
Yours makes more sense. I had him as the Noid for some reason. All right, back to pizza.
And he forced my friends who came over to eat everything on their plate too, and made one of my friends cry because she hated peas and there were peas on the plate. And my dad,
But don't call me a
I
peahead.
think, was coming at it from like a place of like he's the adult, and so you have to do what he says, and he says that you have to finish the food on the plate. And also, he was born in the early 40s, and I think that there's like a different mentality of people that grew up during that time period of like scarcity and like being appreciative of what's on your plate. So I feel like it's kind of a both. I definitely think it's more of an older person vibe though. Except, I do have like the anxiety, but if he doesn't want to eat everything that's on his plate, obviously like, that's his deal or whatever. Can you say hi, baby? Hi. Yeah.
Oh my.
Okay, well, bye-bye.
I cannot believe how, I guess, what would be the word? Articulate? Somehow articulate now sounds like an insult. But I can't believe that August is already forming words like that. I feel like...
On command
and saying hello and being gregarious like that and talking about pizza, some of my favorite topics.
I mean, I honestly think he's getting pretty close to being able to co-host the show. Like, if I'm out of town and need a co-host or vice versa, we could throw Augie on there.
Okay, I'm glad you're going with that. I didn't know exactly where you were going. I thought you were sort of fantasizing about maybe like kind of nudging me out the door a little bit prematurely.
Not
Although
until
some
August
listeners
learns how
might...
to post the show. That's it's a core competency I don't think he has yet.
That's true. Some listeners might argue with the prematurely aspect of my previous sentence.
I say something very... vulnerable, and also something that I don't think I've ever even considered very much up to this point, but it just occurred to me when Stephanie was talking about feeding her baby. I am sad that I will never have the experience of breastfeeding a baby. I'm not just trying to keep the needle moving here. This is, I can only imagine what an incredibly close bonding connection it would be between the mother and the child, and like the fact that you are keeping them alive with something your body is actually creating. Also, it's a hell of a diet. It is thousands of calories leaving your body every day.
Oh my
God. It is just like, you could just be eating cheeseburgers and they're just being converted into breast milk and it's going right back out to the baby. Like, that's also, I have to say, that's part of the appeal.
You should write a book. You should write a book about that diet.
I had a doll when I was a little kid named Jim. It was kind of one of those weird dolls where it was like the head was plastic, kind of like a little, like maybe a toddler age head that was, but then the body was like fabric.
Yep, I can totally picture this. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I remember being a little kid and like a really little kid. Like we lived on Elk River Road in Eureka, California. So I would have been, 2 or 3 years. No, I had maybe 3 or 4 years old, and breastfeeding my Jim doll in bed because I was so much modeling of that in my life.
Yeah, you're the oldest kid, right? And
I'm watching. My mom is nursing my sister Liz at this point, and so this was my way of, I guess, showing love to this baby doll that I had. But truthfully, I do think it would be, I'm kind of bummed. It just so happens that I definitely am aligned with the body that I was born into. I'm very happy that I'm a guy. But for that one thing, which is I think it would be pretty cool to actually get to breastfeed.
You will not be surprised to hear that I do not share those sentiments.
Really?
Oh, God, no. I mean, I'm not good with bodily stuff at all. The idea of, I don't know what the sensation is like.
If you could nurse bingo, I think you would.
No, I most certainly would not. I would. And again, I'm not saying that like
ultimate closeness.
No, and I want to be careful of my tone here. This is not like I know that it is a bonding experience for moms, but like no, I have no desire to do that at all. But I'm not comfortable with any kind of body related thing. I'm not drawn to that. It seems I would be deeply uncomfortable. I feel like doing that.
Oh, I see. I think you'd be a hoot. When I was a kid, there were so many babies happening everywhere between my mom and my Aunt Mary Lou and a lot of the ladies at the church that, because they were all kind of in the same age cohort, and boy, we were being fruitful and multiplying as a church. That it would be not atypical for the women to breastfeed children who are not theirs.
Oh,
if they were if they were watching them, and they were all these women were all at the time lactating, and so it would not be crazy to be that. To me,
you hear about that, yeah.
That feels. I think historically that was a thing. You'd have wet nurses, and I don't know if that's what the wet refers to, but it would be common for the people taking care of the kids, if they were women, to also be breastfeeding them. But that to me feels a little like consuming my mother's own body creation to stay alive. That feels like, that's nature. Consuming someone else's mom's body parts, body creation to stay alive, that's a little weird. Even for me, Andrew, that's a little weird.
I don't know. I can't weigh in on that, to be honest with you, because I do think of it as something very historic. And also, listen, as everybody likes to say on the Dan Le Batard show Reddit, I don't listen to the show anymore, but I still subscribe to the Reddit. Whenever
I thought they'd changed the name of the show to Reddit. As they often say on the Dan Le Batard show Reddit.
On the subreddit for the Dan Le Batard show, where the fans discuss the show and usually complain about it. I'm assuming this is a quote from Dan at one point, but they always just say, it's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it. And so whenever anything gets serious, and so I sort of always have that as a refrain in my head. It's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it. But it's preposterous that you and I are having this conversation.
It's not preposterous, Andrew. It's exactly the kind of personal content, the kind of bespoke, artisanal, hand-forged personal takes that people come to the show over and over again to hear mostly from me.
No, listen, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here. I just have very little to add to this. I have very little knowledge of historic breastfeeding practices. I have no personal experience.
That's what you'd like the audience to think.
I'm doing some research now. But so I just don't know where to go with that, because I'm just not in a place. You know what, Luke? I'm trying to do more listening. So why don't you go on some more and tell us about Jack or Jim?
Jim, my little Jim doll. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I think it's a very tender moment. And I think that a lot of the listeners, Andrew, are going to really kind of come over to my side of things.
I hope they do. I'm not trying to argue with you.
I've endeared myself to them with my stories of attempted breastfeeding.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here. I'm glad you shared that. I'm just telling you that I apologize. It is my job to try to, when you put a hacky sack up in the air, for me to return it to you. And at this point, I am really struggling to return the hacky sack. And I'm
by the
apologizing
end of this
for that.
show's run, and I don't mean this episode, I just mean TBTL's existence.
The final episode.
By the end of TBTL, I think I'm going to get you over to my side on this.
Okay.
And
what is your side? What do you want me to say?
I want you to say that you're sad that you'll never be able to breastfeed.
Okay, sounds good.
That's how I win.
That's how you win. Oh God, I missed the wheel so much. God, that sound.
And where'd it land?
Oh, you can't see it. It landed on. It looks like this is somebody calling in about Onalaska. Now, there are two...
Oh, we went on a whole Onalaska thing.
I hope we haven't played this voicemail already. What was the Onalaska thing? There are two cities or communities that are both called Onalaska, and they're in different states. Is this what... And I don't want to spoil this voicemail because I don't know what it's going to say, for real.
Onalaska is a place... There is an Onalaska sort of near me, relatively near me, maybe an hour or two away or something. And I always thought it was an interesting name because when I was a kid, I would mishear it, and I would think it was called Onalaska.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know. I just thought that was
Hawaii,
an odd name.
Right? Hawaii.
Right, exactly, right?
Whatever the
Fort Lauderdale is about as Onalaska as you can get. So I think I mentioned it in passing, something about Onalaska, and then we started looking it up, and the name. Well, I don't want to give away the voicemail. What we found out was the name of the, and there are multiple Onalaskas around the country. There's one in Arkansas. There's one in Wisconsin, and the name it was from a poem by Thomas Campbell, a Scottish poet, and it was also the name of this. I think this lumber company. So they would go around and they would name the towns on Alaska where they were basically doing the logging or the lumber.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I wonder if this voicemail is going to get into any of that. Let's take a listen here. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical.
You were right. I wish I could breastfeed.
Huh, what an interesting voicemail to come in.
Is this your way of trying to end the show?
I didn't know
okay,
what the voice
was
was going to be. While you were talking, I was desperately trying to find an AI voice creator, but I was doing it so quickly I couldn't choose the specific voice or anything. I had no idea how that was going to come out. I was just trying to make you laugh, but I really do have a voicemail here from Casey about Onalaska.
Hi, Luke and Andrew. It's Casey, Boise Minch on the bench.
Oh, Casey, yeah.
Mom of Marge.
Oh, yeah.
She's great. Thanks.
Marge the Bulldog,
yes.
for those who
yes, we
are
love
keeping
Marge.
track at home. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Casey. I didn't realize that this is somebody that we know personally.
Hi, Luke and Andrew. It's Casey, Boise Minch on the bench. Mom of Marge. She's great. Thanks. 9 in June. She's a queen. Anyway, I'm just in the middle of today's episode. And you guys are talking about Onalaska. And I am born and raised in Idaho, but I do have a fun connection to Onalaska, Washington, which is below Olympia-ish or above, I don't know. But anyway, my Uncle Bill, who has passed, R.I.P., he was the principal at the Onalaska High School, and their motto was, "It's a great day to be a logger." So anyway, made me think of my Uncle Bill, who's amazing, and anyway, love you guys.
It's a great day to be a lover?
A logger.
A logger. It's a logging community. Oh, yeah, a logger. It's a great day to be a logger.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that they're the Onalaska. You know what's funny? That was not the only high school in Washington whose mascot was the Loggers. The nickname was the Loggers. Darrington High School. We used to play basketball against Darrington High School, and they were the Loggers, and it was right out of Hoosiers, man. Like, I think that also might have been the high school that Bob Barker went to. I believe Bob Barker was from Bob Barker was from Darrington, Washington.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bob Barker sometimes surprises us. I think he might have. 2023. He had a good run.
Wow, yeah. What year was he born? Does it say? Do you have it in front of you?
1823.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he had a pretty good run then. Yeah.
No, he did go 100 years. He was born in 1923 and he passed in 2023.
Yeah, look at that.
But we would go into this Darrington. The gym was all. First of all, they were the Darrington Loggers, and then the gym was all of this beautiful, like wood, like every square inch. There was no like cement. There was no other kind of like sort of more modern building materials. It was this Darrington. I think it might have even been called the Logger Dome.
Sounds beautiful. Honestly,
it was, but it was like you were walking into the 1950s. Like you expected the other kids to come out and they would be in black and white.
Yeah.
And they'd all be wearing Chuck Taylors and have flat tops.
Right, yeah.
It was intimidating to go into the Logger Dome.
I feel like and this is why I would not be good at coming up with mascots for schools. I thought the school was going to be the Logs because I could picture like it would be cool. Like, I guess if you're a logger, if your team is the Loggers, your mascot is some sort of like kind of butch like logger, right? Like you got the axe thrown over your shoulder. You're wearing like boots and overalls or whatever. But I like the idea of a mascot of just being a log running around like those Rainier Beer mascots, sort of. Only you're a log, and maybe you got big googly eyes on the front of the log, but your legs and arms kind of stick out, and you can run around.
I would be into that mascot. You know that I'm into mascots that are weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending you a picture of the Logger Dome, and I feel like it's really going to pay off when you see this. I'm emailing this to you.
Do you feel like this is a photo that was taken more recently or around the time that you were playing there?
It's tough to say because it's so old school in there, and if it's remained unchanged, you don't have a lot of context clues.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I I guess it's technically the community center, but this is also where we would play basketball. The Darrington Community Center was built in 1954 with donated time, skill, and materials from caring residents of the Darrington area. So you basically had a bunch of loggers.
Oh, wow. Now I'm seeing it. Yeah, beautiful.
Isn't that amazing? That is like such a blast from the past.
And their colors are green and yellow, but they're only used really as highlights here. And it's like all this beautiful sort of reddish, brownish wood. And then what do you call is it the keys on the floor, Luke? Is that what is the colored boxes under the thing?
Yeah,
the keys
it's called
are
the
kind
key.
of
Good one.
green. And then, this is just not only is it like impressive, it's just like really tastefully done.
Yes.
That's
it's
really
beautiful.
cool.
You know what I'm having, Andrew? I'm having a memory of when I was not yet in high school, so I would have been maybe 8th grade or something. I was very obsessed with the varsity basketball team, and so I would go to the games. We'd play our like junior high games or whatever, but then we would go watch the grown-up kids play. And I took it very seriously to try to cheer on our team, the Lions, if I could really roast the other team. And I remember... this is how my brain worked, even as like an 8th grader. I made a sign that said, "Save the Spotted Owl." Not because I had a particular care about the spotted owl, but because that was the whole discourse at the time in the state of Washington. All of these logging operations were being interrupted because it was threatening the spotted owl.
I see. So this is you going after the logging community.
This is me going after the logging community because they're the Darrington Loggers. And they were in our gym. So I wasn't doing this at the Darrington Community Center. Heck no.
No.
But at our gym, I felt emboldened to make a sign that said, "Save the Spotted Owl," as a way of essentially roasting the way in which these kids' dads made their living.
Wow. That does sound like you, honestly.
I don't even think anyone got it.
Yeah. Although, this does seem like I would play for the Spotted Owls. Like, that would be the team. You know what I mean? Like, that would be the Loggers versus the Spotted Owls would be the matchup of the century.
The longer that I know you, the more I think you're just into sports for the hats and the mascots.
I am. Well, Genevieve would definitely back you up on that, certainly. Yeah.
Like when we were in Wisconsin, I forget what happened, but there was something happened where that conversation came up about a particular hat, maybe somebody.
I think it was
wearing.
The Twins hat. It was a new logo that I had mistaken because it was a new logo of just a couple of years. I assumed it was the City Connect logo, but it wasn't. It's just a new logo. I was confused by that.
It was Spencer and Henry.
Yeah, good call.
Walking by the window, and then that launched us on a conversation about the hat. And then when we were done with the show, I looked over, and you were immediately in a fairly deep dive on hats, on those Twins hats.
I think it's a pretty sweet new logo. I wonder what our Twins fans who hear this think of it. But it's that sort of like it's that very sharp-edged M that is sort of spread out a little bit.
Except I'll say what I said back then, which is it looks for me a little bit too much like the Miami Marlins.
It did. When I first saw it, you
logo.
think of Marlins. You really do.
No
think
shade,
that.
Henry.
No, but it is a really clean-looking hat, and I also like the color. It wasn't the traditional Twins colors that Henry was wearing. And also, the thing about the Twins and their logos is
you can't improve on
they got a good one. Like, here's the thing, and I don't know if you know... I would be surprised if you didn't know this about me, Luke, because I've had this conversation a lot. And you are right. Like, one of my favorite things about baseball is sort of analyzing the uniforms and the look and the logos. And I do not like the logo or the look or the font or most of the uniforms that my beloved Mariners wear. I think the Mariners are way near the bottom end of good-looking uniforms and logos. I like the...
And kind of always have been, unfortunately.
You feel the same way? I wasn't sure if you were going to kick back at this.
I have a little bit of nostalgia for the OG Triton.
The Trident. Yeah, that's what every hat I've ever bought is the Trident pointing down, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
I like that one a lot.
I have a tiny bit of nostalgia for like the S from like the Griffey era.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the late 80s, early 90s. But that's just because I associate it with like Ken Griffey Jr. wearing it.
Era. It's a pretty good, and the colors really popped then, right? Wasn't it like really bright blue or like really kind of dark blue and really bright yellow? So it wasn't all the teal and everything that we see.
The problem is we just don't have we've been around for 40 years. That should be enough history. But like the Twins, just like they've just had, first of all, the name Twins is great.
Yep.
And so it just lends itself to like cool, like, graphics of like a couple of twins, or a couple of baseball twins or whatever. Like they just have always had, they've been around for a long time. The Mariners still feel nouveau to me, which I know is insane.
No, it's not. I think, and in fact, I think a lot of people in the, who don't live in Seattle feel that even more acutely, I think, because in the same way that I look at certain football teams, and it's not like I'm some old school football player, but there's like this class of team, and no offense to the people who are listening who root for them, that I just get all confused. It's like all of those cats in the southeast of the country, you know what I mean? Like the Jaguars and is there a Lynx? They're the NFL Lynx.
Well,
No,
there's a Bobcats. Or there used to be the Charlotte Bobcats. Oh, you're talking about in football?
I'm talking about football. Yeah, there's a bunch of like teams. I just get them all confused.
The Jags.
Because I feel like they all came around in 1995, and that is, definitely not true, and provably not true. But I just get them all confused, and they all just seem like 90s teams. That have just, whoa, is that Ken Headley?
That is Ked Woodley.
Ked Woodley, right. I'm looking at the logos now. I mean, listen, the Brewers logo is beautiful. We had that sort of sad series against the Brewers when we were in friendship, and it was sad because the Mariners really got their hats handed to them. That's not the phrase. But the logos were beautiful. And also they wore the Brewers wore the same classic uniforms 3 nights in a row. And I don't usually see that. Like, why is this team wearing this? I mean, I know they're on the road, but still, usually you mix up your uniform a little bit. One of the people who came and visited us at the picnic, who's a Brewers fan, and I'm sorry that I'm blanking on their name, said, well, we were in the middle of a historic winning streak, so you don't change your uniforms up when you're in the middle of a winning streak, which makes a lot of sense. But my God, looking at those beautiful Brewers uniforms really took the sting out of losing to those guys.
It did, and also that we really liked the guy, Andy, who worked at the It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That helped. But, it was messing with my brain, Andrew, when we were watching on TV, because those colors are actually reminiscent of the Mariners colors I was just talking about, the Ken Griffey Jr. era. So I have some I would look up occasionally to the screen and I would see guys wearing what I identified to be vaguely Mariners colors doing well.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, awesome. And then I'd realize, no, that's Christian Yelich.
Yes. And then you started yelliching at the TV screen.
Yelliching and screaming.
I'm looking at these logos now and I'm just like remembering like all these teams that I wanted to become fans of or learn more about so that I can wear their logo. Like I'm looking at this Baltimore Orioles logo. And now we know I have a Baltimore Orioles cap, but I can only wear it when I want to be doing crimes in disguise.
Right, exactly. Like dumping maggot-filled scrimps into a dumpster on Aurora.
For example, if you're just going to pull one out of the hat, sure.
That's just like I just threw a dart.
Yeah,
and hit that.
That's what it landed on. All right, listen, I know you're anxious to get out of here, Luke, but before we do, don't forget, it's a Thursday, which means it's time for some Blur's Day.
There's a right way to rock and a wrong way to roll. You can just listen to your soul. Just remember that life is number one. You can be having so much fun. Just remember that life is much fun. You can be number one.
All right, you got Blur's Days, and we like to read them. If you want to wish somebody a happy birthday or you wish yourself a happy birthday, you can email me, Andrew at tbtl.net. Put Blur's Day in the subject line. You ready to do some Blur's Days with me here, Luke? Luke? What are you doing? Luke is backing away from the microphone. He's still got his headphones on, but he's walking away from the camera. He's hiding. Luke, what are you doing? Luke is hiding right now behind the prize wheel. He's just sticking his little eyes and nose up over the prize wheel. Do you not want to do Blur's Days? Luke's just shaking his head no at me. Are you feeling shy? Oh my God, Luke is feeling so shy. Here's what happened. Last week, I didn't want Luke kind of, I don't know, maybe getting a raspy voice or overextending himself by doing the Blur's Days. So I asked him not to do Blur's Days with us last week. And now I guess he's just, all right, listen, Luke, I'll let you take the day off from Blur's Days today. Can you join me later at the end of the show, at the end of the Blur's Days to wrap things up? Yeah? All right. And then next week, though, you're doing Blur's Days with me, and we're going to start doing longer shows again, too, next week, okay? All right. He's nodding, so we're all on the same page. It's just you and me, listeners, for this Blur's Day segment, though. Speaking of you and me, more importantly me, I made a big mistake last week. I skipped a couple of Blur's Day messages that had been sitting in my inbox. They were probably the first ones to come in, and somehow I totally skipped them. I apologize to listener Jackie, who sent in this Blur's Day a couple of weeks ago. Jackie says, the week got away from me and I woke up in a panic because I forgot to wish my birthday twin, Tracy, a happy Blur's Day. Tracy, I know it's been a heck of a year, so I hope you took some time and made your week special. You're amazing, and I hope to see you soon. Hugs from Jackie. I'm sorry that I made your belated Blur's Day wish even more belated, Tracy, but I hope you had a nice one. That was from me. Also, I missed this message from our friend Rachel in Amsterdam, who says, happy Blur's Day to Ivan. Today, well, it would have been last week, is your 35th Blur's Day, birthday, which would make you finally eligible to run for president, but alas, you weren't born in the United States. I don't think I knew that about you, Ivan, or I'd forgotten. Rachel says, we'll celebrate regardless. Here's to another year of travel, continuing our struggle to learn Dutch, and connecting with other tens all the way in the Netherlands. Now, it looks to me like we have ourselves a little Netherlands party going on here, because I also got this message from Louisa, who says, happiest of birthdays to Marshall. The structure to my serendipity. Oh, that's really sweet. Happiest of Blur's Days to Marshall, the structure to my serendipity, and the most meticulous event planner ever. Now I get it. Louisa was trying to trip me up here. Happiest of Blur's Days to Marshall, the structure to my serendipity, and the most meticulous event planner ever. I got through it. Louisa says, I'm so grateful to Amsterdam for bringing us together, and I hope this new cycle brings even more adventures, fresh powdery snow, and lots of new opportunities to connect with friends and family. Turns out Ivan knows Marshall too and also wants to wish Marshall a happy Blur's Day. Says happy birthday to Marshall, my friend, colleague, and fellow pioneer of the Amsterdam-based TENS community. It's been great getting to know you over the past few years and teaming up to navigate the terrains of expat life, travel, the drudgery of the corporate world, and last-minute Taylor Swift concerts. All the best to you and wishing you an energizing year ahead. I could use some of that energy. I've been a sloth. All right, we're bringing it back to the States here. Teresa in Ocean Grove, New Jersey says, happy belated Blur's Day to me. I guess when you turn 60, you forget some stuff. Ah, well, I'm looking forward to a fresh new decade, and I have one goal this year. I want to learn all the lyrics to Two Princes by the Spin Doctors. Wish me luck. I can help you with that, Teresa. These two princes, now go ahead now. That's all you need to know. Are there more lyrics than that? I don't think. Flash says, another music-related one here. Flash says, I'm usually inspired by listening to the Blur's Days that have come before, but this year my Blur's Day message to my wife is inspired by a ballad sung by Jimmy Buffett called Love in the Library. I am nearly in tears remembering our first encounters. Happy birthday, baby cakes. Kelly in Rhode Island says, happy belated 40th Blur's Day to Kelly. In the last couple of years, I've come to treasure our virtual conversations on IG. I hope your day was amazing, and I hope that Buffy, Chloe, and Cookie let you relax and enjoy your day. Have a wonderful year. I just realized that was Kelly on Kelly blursing there. Blursding? Happy 11th birthday to Simon from Dad. Every day with you is the best day of my life. Watching The Twilight Zone, making banana bread, sword fighting, running 5Ks, or going to Cat Video Fest together. Ooh, you make everything better. Plus, you're the only 11-year-old I know who has a Fred Schneider impression. Never stop being yourself because you are my favorite person. Mau Mau, Dade, and Ginger Beer. Sounds like a code. A code. You guys using me to spread code back and forth between the coasts? Matt in Broomfield, Colorado says, I'd like to give a Blur's Day shout out to my wife, Rachel. We have been together since she asked me to listen to the 2000th episode. I was lost on who was who, whose voice was whom, but I quickly dialed it in with her guidance. Thanks for the daily entertainment, and a happy birthday to Rachel, my great love and best friend in life. Aww. That's why we needed you here, Luke, to play the aw sound effect. Oh, he's sneaking down further behind the wheel. Luke, we're about to wrap up the Blur's Days, so get back in position. I need you to end the show with me, okay? Lindsay says, happy birthday to Linda, employee numero uno at Tassi Jewelry, bird watcher extraordinaire, voracious reader and everyone's favorite book club member, kind, thoughtful friend to so many, a loving, patient Gigi de Comet. The most generous and amazing mom to me, but of course, I'll always be your TBTL daddy. Can't wait to celebrate at the coast this week. Another wonderful batch of Blur's Days, many of which I messed up, and I'm sorry about that. But we're gonna next week, though. Luke, okay, are you ready to end the show here? Next week, we're definitely gonna get you back on the Blur's Day duty. Okay, all right. Anyway,
hey, do we have any more voicemails for tomorrow?
We do, Luke. They are a self-generating resource, and so let's do it.
So
let's
we're
spin
not
that
going
wheel.
to, even if we do this tomorrow, we're not going to be able to. We're not have cleared the entirety unless tomorrow we just go like hyperactive mode.
We could do that. I mean, listen,
play like 10 of them.
I'll tell you this. We have about 5 that I've pulled off the voicemail line, but there are still like probably literally dozens upon dozens that are still on the voicemail line. We get a lot of voicemails. That's why I'm glad we're able to do this week, because people are like, yes, we want to hear you talk about your favorite baseball logos that we can't see. So yeah, but no, that's why these have been great phone calls so far.
Absolutely.
And we'll end strong tomorrow.
So were you saying I need to spin the wheel now, or I spin the wheel starting tomorrow?
I mean, if you spin the wheel now, I'm playing a voicemail now. So
okay, well then let's not.
Yeah, okay,
let's not.
I didn't think you wanted to do that. Yeah,
no, I got
this one more day.
Places to be and people to see, man.
That's right, man.
All right, that's right, man. All right, thank you everyone for hanging out with us today. We're going to be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio. Please, if you can, join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Thursday. Take care of yourselves, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Hi, guys. This is Julie in Lake Stevens, and I just got done listening to the episode for Thursday, August 7th, where you were talking about how you learned about where babies came from, and it reminded me of my mom's story. She was a Catholic teenager in the late 50s, early 60s. So of course, the only thing even close to sex ed that she received was my grandmother telling her, don't sleep with a boy or you'll get pregnant. So later when she went on a picnic date with a boy, and he just dozed off on the blanket in the sun, she was terrified she was going to get pregnant. And so, but then, fast forward a couple years, and she's in her first year of nursing school, and she's in class listening to a lesson on human reproduction. And that's where she learned the mechanics of where babies come from. She told me later, she said, I couldn't believe it. I about fell off my chair. Poor mom. Anyway, power out.
Power out.